I'm on a roll, you guys. It's Alea here, if you haven't already seen my previous few videos. I am doing them, well, not all of them, but all of the ones that I've missed on the same day, and then I'm going to upload them one after the other because I've missed them and I'm really sorry. But life, it's just how it is sometimes. It's been the last week of school for the term, for the year here in Adelaide, and also the first week of the school holidays, so it's intense. So I am a bit behind and I do apologise, but I'm going to endeavour to make sure that there is enough time every day for the remainder of the challenge to catch up with it. Alright, and keep going with it properly. I'm up to day number 13. 13. It's my favourite number ever. It really is. Number 13 and number 7 are my favourites. They truly are. Anyway, question 14, which is, if you've seen my previous videos, you understand where I'm at, is, do you believe in fantasy creatures such as dragons, fairies, unicorns, etc.? Yes, but I believe they all belong on different dimensions, different planes of existence, all over the place. Different magical dimensions or planes of existence, all that sort of stuff. Same as ghosts, you know, that's, and spirits, all that sort of stuff. Demons, again, yes. Different planes of existence, but I do believe they exist. If that makes me crazy, then it makes me crazy and I don't care. If it doesn't make me crazy and you believe the same, that they do exist but they're on a different plane, then woohoo! I believe the same as you. If you don't, then that's totally cool. You know, what works for you works for you. What doesn't is what doesn't. I don't believe they all actually existed in this particular plane of existence. I think maybe visions of them have been seen by many people, hence the reason for our common knowledge of all of these wonderful creatures, and not so wonderful creatures, but all of them nonetheless. And I think, you know, those stories have been passed down and now we have these mythical legends and all that sort of stuff, which is not a bad thing. And I think stories are a way to learn, whether they're fact, fiction, or inspired by a different plane of existence. Makes no difference to me. Yeah. I have put questions 10 and 15 from the What Kind of Witch Are You tag in with this. I think that was my way of catching it up. I don't know if it worked. I'll find out later on. Question 10 from the What Kind of Witch Are You tag is, what was your first spell and was it successful? My first spell, I think it was a Find My Friend spell. I was a very lonely child. I have a sibling. I have 4 siblings. 3 of them are half siblings who lived in a different part of Australia from where we were living. My younger sibling and I were living when we were growing up. But I was very lonely. I was bullied quite a lot at school. Every school that I went to, actually, where I grew up, I was bullied quite heavily. But I tried not to. It got to me. I mean, it didn't matter how hard I tried, it got to me. And not having a friend or a group of friends that I can talk to or just hang out with, it just made it all seem that much worse. So I did a Find My Friend spell. I just called to a friend, you know, out there in the universe to find me so that I wouldn't be alone on the long days, and so I had someone to talk to. And it worked. It did. Within a few weeks, a student transferred to the school that we were going to, and we became good friends. We were good friends for about a year, maybe 18 months. It sort of went away after that, but I had settled into finding a rhythm with going to different groups of people and being friends with them for short periods of time. And that did pretty well until I graduated that from school in that territory, you know, where we were. When we moved, I found it easier to make friends, but yeah, stuff happens, life happens, and, you know, that was my first spell anyway. And yes, it did work. Question 15 from the What Kind of Witch Are You tag. What was your biggest spell disaster? Whew. I wanted wisdom, so much wisdom. So yeah, I thought I was so wise and so advanced that I could handle it. Yeah. I wanted to ask my future self a question. I don't think I liked the answer. I wanted to know if what I was going through at the time was going to get any better. Because I really wanted to be told that it was going to end really quickly and that everything was going to be fine for the rest of my life. The answer I got from myself, I don't think it would have been that much further into my current timeline. So the answer that I got at the time was, no, it's going to get so much worse. It will get better eventually, but you've still got a lot to go through, and you'll understand why you had to go through this, and you'll still hate that you've been through it and that you're about to go through it, but you'll understand it in the future. And it was a very deeply emotional situation for me, because I really did think I could handle it, and I think it was probably the thing that began a bit of a spiral for me. I did walk away from the craft for about 18 months at that point, where it was always sitting there at the back of my mind. My faith was always sitting there at the back of my mind, but I didn't practice for about 18 months. And I think this is probably the reason why. And I did go through quite a lot of hardship. It was sort of one bad thing after another for the entire time. And I think it was at the start of it. It was at the start of that period. It wasn't the thing that caused it or set it off or anything like that. It was just really bad timing for that kind of a spell, I think. It was just very intense. I was okay for a good 6 weeks, and that was it. Where I thought I was okay and I was gonna be fine. But yeah, for the next 18 months, everything sort of just went in a really bad downward spiral. And after that 18-month period, my son was born, and I didn't quite understand it, but I did feel a lot better, and I did start feeling like I needed to focus more on the positives in my life and being a positive influence in my son's life, and wanting to change the cycle that was my family history. I wanted to be the stop point, I wanted to stop that cycle of negativity that has happened in my family, and I didn't want to continue that in my son's life. And I think really focusing on that for the first, he's still going, for the first 8 years of his life so far, I've really sort of been focusing on trying to keep positive environments around. I mean, there's always going to be negative shit happen, but that happens in life, and focusing on it doesn't do me any good, mental health speaking. But yeah, so that was my biggest spell disaster. I think it wasn't so much a disaster of a spell. The spell went perfectly. It performed exactly the way it was supposed to. I just didn't get the answer that I wanted. The answer that I wanted was, yes, everything's going to be fine now. You've been through the worst of it. And I didn't get it. I got, no, it's just the beginning, basically. But it will get better eventually, and you'll understand why. And I'm starting to understand why I had to go through all of that. So I'm hoping that, you know, it's not too much further in the future that I can turn around and go, okay, yeah, this is the point that this spell's going to take effect now. But I haven't reached it yet. And that's okay, because it means that I've just got more understanding to go through. And that's not a bad thing. I see that as a positive now, more so than I ever did before. So yeah, not too much of a disaster, I don't think. And it's more, I like it when it's more self-creation. Like you're delving deeper into yourself, into your own psyche, and finding out more about yourself than anything else. And I really like that. So I think I'm going to end this video and start on the next one. See you next time, guys.